See, I was thinking, once all this is over and Will's back and you're not a secret anymore, my parents can get you an actual bed for the basement. Or you can take my room if you want, since I'm down there all the time anyways. My point is, they'll take care of you. They'll be like your new parents, and Nancy, she'll be like your new sister.
Will you be like my brother?
What? No. No.
Hopper and Joyce are taken prisoner by Dr. Brenner at Hawkins' lab and interrogated and tortured. Before they are disposed of, Hopper cuts a deal, lets him and Joyce try to rescue Will. If they succeed, everyone walks away and pretends none of this happens, in exchange for Elle's location.
Nancy and Jonathan manage to trap and wound the Demogorgon with an assist from a newly remorseful Steve, while Hopper and Joyce visit the Upside Down, where Hopper confronts his unresolved feelings about the death of his daughter, and Joyce finds and rescues Will.
Dr. Brenner and his team of goons descend upon the school where the boys and Elle are hiding, while the bloodshed and violence attract a wounded Demogorgon, who makes quick work of Brenner and his security team. Elle manages to destroy the Demogorgon in a shocking display of her power, and is apparently killed in the process.
Life in Hawkins quickly seems to return to normal just in time for Christmas, except Will is throwing up slug-like creatures, and Hopper makes lonely visits into the freezing woods, leaving food and Eggos behind, for someone or something. Welcome to Dungeons and Demogorgons, the officially unofficial podcast for Stranger Things on Netflix. I'm Jim.
I'm A.Ron.
And we just watched Season 1, Episode 8, titled Chapter 8, The Upside Down. This is the season finale, and I gotta say, I thought it was a really, really good one, with maybe some minor exceptions.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it had a lot bigger of a budget feel than I was expecting. It had a really awesome, amazing climax. I wasn't expecting the extended kind of denouement that we got too. Which I actually appreciated, the epilogue, where it raised a few more questions and kind of also it did two things: it returned us to a normalcy, but also set up some things that presumably will be addressed in season 2.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is I don't think they knew if they were getting a season 2 when this thing was filmed and aired.
Right.
So it's interesting to see them sort of kicking open those sequel doors in a way that, every single, Halloween or A Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever Jason movie you're talking about does in the 80s. They always, have Freddy's hand come through a wall or something after you think he's dead.
Well, the thing is,
they're doing the same thing here, but it kind of surprised me because I don't know. I guess it works even if they don't get a season 2, right?
Right. I was about to say, because I feel like some people, sequels are greenlit at such an alarming rate now that we've forgotten the idea of a remnant of the monster maybe not fully defeated, is to leave you with that creepy feeling. It's not necessarily to set up a sequel.
That's true.
It gives it you get the emotional release of the heroes vanquishing the villain, but also when you go home, you might want to check underneath your bed because it might not be dead. So I felt like it, like you said, I think it works both ways, and obviously we're getting a sequel, so that's all moot. We're gonna get to the bottom of this goddamn slug throwing up gate and Will's bathroom gate and Eggo gate. All these scandals rocking Hawkins will be addressed, presumably. I mean,
Rockin' Hawkins, that should be
Rockin' Hawkins,
the name of our podcast.
Oh shit,
man.
It's not too late. We haven't released any of these.
Rockin' Hawkins?
I mean, it's interesting because so do you want to talk about the good stuff, or do you want to talk about the one problem I have? Because I'm not even sure if it's a problem. It's more like...
Okay, yeah. I guess let's start there with the caveat that we both really like this episode.
Yeah.
So don't tune out when you go, oh God, they're going to talk negative.
Yeah, I want to address this real quick. Because I remember when... I mean, obviously I watched this season, but I could not remember how Joyce and Hopper get out of Hawkins' lab, because it seems like it's checkmate, game over. They got the syringe out, they're going to kill him. And I remember being excited when we did this episode, or this episode 7 earlier. It's like, wow, how are they going to do it? This is going to be exciting. And Hopper says, look, you let us go and try to find Will, we'll give you Elle's location. And this Brenner agrees. And I think from Brenner's side, we're supposed to understand that he doesn't expect them, trained soldiers have gone
with
in
weapons
with weapons and have been torn apart by this Demogorgon.
Yep.
This fat local yokel and his crazy grief-stricken mother are going to get torn to shreds. I don't have to worry about all this, and I've got Elle.
Yeah.
The part that bothers me is what was Hopper doing from his point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, they find Will. Do you expect them to just leave? Do you really expect them to live up to their end of the bargain? And you've also given up Elle and all the children.
That's the thing. It makes me think
it seems like it's a very selfish and
Yes.
stupid move on. I get the Brenner part, but the Hopper part, like, what? I guess you live to fight another day, and
Yeah, the Hopper part is I'm just going to sell Elle down the river. I'm going to rat her out, get the location. They're going to recapture her, and we're never going to speak of this. And the kids will be okay, I trust.
Or maybe I'm going to go to the press, but I don't. As soon as they get what they want, I just feel like I don't know. There's no way for me to square. I guess it's desperation because they had the injection right there. Like if he doesn't tell them something, then he's going to die, and then it all ends. And it's like, you gotta fight until you can't no more. But
yeah, and I kind of like that they break Hopper instead of breaking Joyce.
Yeah.
I think there's a tendency to say, okay, the mother here is going to be the weak link, right? She cares so much about Will that she's willing to do anything. But it's interesting how they compare, I guess, Will's situation with his daughter's situation. Hopper's dead daughter's situation with cancer.
Yeah,
he identifies so much with the struggle that Joyce is going through right now.
Yes.
And knows that he can do something about it if he's willing to give up, I guess, Elle, which he has far less concern for than Will.
Yeah. And again, if he doesn't, then it's all over, and they'll probably without. I mean, he's thinking like, what are their percentages without me and Joyce? What are these kids going to do?
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it is a little hand wavy, and just ignore that rough patch so we can get on with the rest of the finale, which I'm fine with.
A little bit, yeah.
I just,
And the idea that a government agency like this would feel the need to spare them, whereas they could just inject him, kill Joyce, and be done with it.
Yeah, like, oh, you gave me what we want from Elle, so... And that's like they do address that because the evil social worker, as they're walking out of facility, kind of questions like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why don't we just liquidate him?" And he's like, "Oh, they won't make it out." And like,
I guess.
Okay, so now you're Goldfinger. Oh, I expect you to die, Mr. Hopper. Well, he's not. He's going to wiggle out his laser thing and come fuck you.
Well, I like how they play that to where it makes sense. So, like, I think they would have died if they had gone in there and circumstances had been different on the outside. They probably would have gotten killed by the Demogorgon. But the way things work out, the Demogorgon is being drawn away by several powerful motivators.
Yes.
Nancy and Jonathan draw them away long enough for them to get in there, start looking around, and then the Demogorgon's drawn to the chaos at the high school, the blood at the high school, which essentially frees up Joyce and Hopper to do whatever they want in there.
Yeah, like I think that's what makes it work, because the self-sacrifice and the pluckiness of the older children give them just enough breathing room, and then Dr. Brenner's greed, lying, and violence does the rest.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's not great, but I think it works in context, and hopefully they can kind of clean some of this stuff up going into season 2.
Yeah.
So what the other things I want to talk about is I really like the idea. I really like some of the visuals they did here. Like they started off with the camera just taking in the inky black void of space. Mm-hmm. And then the last, before we skip to the epilogue with the Christmas time, is it pans up to the same scene.
Yeah.
Is that just a really beautiful shot, like a True Detective style? Look at the lights winning, or is it supposed to suggest some kind of extraterrestrial connection to the Demogorgons?
I don't know. I've never thought of this as an extraterrestrial. It's an extra universal sort of thing, right?
Right.
An extra dimensional thing.
But it wasn't clear. Like, it was a definite creative choice. I wasn't sure if it's a symbolic one as well.
I'm not sure. But it was. I did enjoy the visual, certainly.
Mm-hmm. And it did capture kind of like, you know, the majesty of the dark skies and kind of rural United States.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
So after this all goes off, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but sticking with Hopper for a minute, it's like, okay, at the end of this, I guess he comes out of this, Dr. Brenner's dead. Pretty much everybody in that lab is dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's at the Christmas party, and when he leaves, or no, the hospital. When he leaves the hospital, where Will has been taken,
Mm-hmm.
a black car rolls up, and a couple guys get out. They open the door for him, and he gets in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never really mentioned again. Next time we see him, he's at a Christmas party a month later, and apparently, like, everything's cool with him and the government. Like, was that just we're going to take you in and see if you really have anything to say? Like,
No.
are you going to talk here? This is intimidation. Don't talk. What is it?
That's the Bureau of Paranormal Defense recruiting him for Hellboy 3.
You think so?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Just come with us. It's going to take a long time to get you in that red makeup. Better start now. We might be ready in a year's time from now.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But I wonder.
That felt like a loose end to me. But I think they're trying to say something. I just don't know what it is.
No, I think that my idea is kind of like yours, that I think that he's going to be co-opted by this. Like, wait, look, you know too much, but you're also strangely capable, so we're going to bring you on the inside of what we're trying to do here. Like,
is that why he's leaving Egos for Elle?
Could
to
be.
Bring her back somehow?
But it could be also that he's like, we don't know, because my first thought was like, well, once we see the thing pick him up, well, that's it. But then we saw him just like back at the police agency as if it's nothing. So I wonder if like he's trying, like they're suggesting that he's working with them, but the ego thing shows that he's kind of working against them, because that implies that he knows something about the whereabouts of Elle. Yeah. And he's doing something on his own time. It's like, you know, this isn't something that the research scientists and the lab and who else is of the government, like, it seems like everyone died.
Everyone we were familiar with.
Now, I'm sure they have files on him. They can
yeah.
follow this stuff up. But what do they actually know about him? And so much of the stuff that they know about him came out that night.
Right.
So there's a big question marks, but a lot of really cool potential ideas they could run with.
Yep.
Because I had this idea of, like, it would be kind of cool if he's secretly working for Hawking's lab, but he's still maintaining his relationships in town, and, like, what kind of betrayal, like, if there's a chance for some sort of betrayal between, like, him and Joyce. Because the other thing is, I thought that they would hint that maybe him and Joyce were together.
Didn't seem like it.
Which, that's fine. That's actually, you know, I tend to enjoy when they resist doing the matchy match
stuff. A
stuff.
little cliche, yeah.
Right. Like, it's one thing, like, if you're gonna introduce a relationship, then that should be a big plot component.
They really resist it too, because I would have suspected Jonathan and Nancy would have got together after this whole life and death situation, but they don't. Steve's still in the mix.
Nancy and Steve.
I was surprised by that, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay.
Also, the way they played it with is like maybe Nancy herself is conflicted because you know, Steve's back and he's dreamy, he's got the hair and he's remorseful.
And the BMW.
But you know, they've been, but Jonathan, you know, she gives him a kiss, which isn't nothing.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Get the spray paint out. Fucking Nancy Wheeler just spray paint like you're kissing another boy. Where that's
yeah. Next season 2, episode 1.
Right.
Steve's spray painting.
He hasn't learned a goddamn thing.
No. I really like that moment where they give him the camera back, though.
Yeah.
Although, because you can tell Steve was involved, too. He feels bad about it. The transformation that guy went through over the course of this season, wow.
Yeah. And
at least my perception of him. I don't know that he was ever that bad a guy. It's just like he came off as really douchey.
That's where, like, because I remember it being like a hairpin turn that he made, and then you know, you can kind of tell in my coverage of this season on the rewatch, I was like, what evidence do I have that Steve is really a creep?
Nothing.
Like,
Nothing.
He's
all just image.
Like, he's kind of a playboy, but there's nothing wrong with that, and he's not really being.
But we don't like ever see him with any other girls.
Right.
He's always with Nancy. Like, he breaks Jonathan's camera, yes, but Jonathan deserved it.
Yeah,
I think.
Right. In fact, that's the one thing. Like, I still made a stink face when they gave him the camera back. It's like, so we're just We're just cool with that, huh? Like it was never really dealt with to my satisfaction. And
yeah,
also,
I guess the explanation wasn't
the very
quite-
first time that his friends really got out of line with the spray painting, like he instantly kind of made a break.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
You know, I mean, Jonathan did beat the piss out of him, so that's probably a little bit of a formative experience.
Yeah.
Speaking of the artistic flourishes, I really liked how when they first established Joyce and Hopper being in the Upside Down, that the camera literally is upside down.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
slowly rotates to the correct perspective, like selling us on the idea of how this dimension and stuff works, which I thought...
it's such a simple thing,
It
but
is.
it's very effective.
It's super cool. And I really like the arc of Hopper having to deal... Like Joyce is facing her own demon, which is the potential loss of her son, and she's too late, and no one took her seriously. But Hopper is like dealing with all these unresolved issues about how he felt as a parent, and the helplessness, of seeing your child waste away, and how they sold that, and they showed like, you know, when they pulled the tube out of Will, like they're doing the thing with his daughter, and the CPR versus him giving Will. I was like, God damn, he's cracking every one of Will's ribs.
Right, just pound it away.
Will's ribs are just going to be a loose assembly of gravel by the time Hopper's done with it, because he's not going to lose this goddamn patient. But it was really effective, and I felt like, you know, when I saw the runtime, because I was like, well, maybe this is like a 90-minute episode, but when they're hitting, it's like, oh, this is going to be too little too late character development. But I thought it really flowed nicely, and it added a whole other depth and vulnerability to Hopper that didn't really exist before.
No, it came out of nowhere, sort of. You know, there were light hints at something with his daughter. We knew that he had lost a daughter, but that was about it. And light hints that it bothered him still. But, like, you're right, it could have been this crazy race car development that we didn't expect and didn't care about, but
or it could
somehow
have been,
they nailed it.
Here's the thing, like The Walking Dead does this. Hopper, they play, Barry McCreary plays some light piano, sad minor chord music, and Hopper stares off into the middle distance as the camera slowly pulls in his face, and he tells us for 2 minutes how he lost his daughter. This, where like every single step of the adventure was another wound that ripped open in his psyche.
Yeah,
I mean, it's showing versus telling, right? Yep. One is hack, one is art.
Yeah,
and
Hopper never opened his mouth and said, "I miss my daughter." Like, no. I feel powerless right now. But like, none of that.
But all of the flashbacks also didn't stay too long. They never derailed the thing. It was like a 5 or 10 seconds of like, oh, this is Hopper in her better days, and oh shit, something's going horribly wrong, and bam, you're right back in the Upside Down. Yeah. And that's a hell of a job constructing and editing and making us feel something in less than like 50 minutes. 50 minutes of story time. I was really impressed that they managed to get away with that.
Yeah, me too.
Do you think the Demogorgon is a singular entity? And how in the fuck does bear trapping it, shooting it 100 times, lighting it on fire? I mean, it was clearly getting fucked up. Yeah. Like it was severely burnt in the final scenes, but it lost none of its potency or effectiveness.
It makes
Elle essentially dissolved it from the inside out with her power.
Yeah, I felt like the only way to kill it.
That's scary.
Right?
It's
you want the monster to be scary.
It makes me think like Alien was a movie about a singular alien eviscerating an entire crew on a starship. Mm-hmm. Aliens just did that, only now it's like, what if there's 100 of them? Or maybe hundreds of them, and throw a Marine platoon at them. What do you think?
If there are hundreds of Demogorgons in season 2?
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, there's clearly they did some kind of X-Files shit with Will, where they had that esophageal tube stuck down his throat, and now he's barfing up slugs. Do you think this is the first time it's happened to him? Do you think he's barfed several slugs into the water system of Hawkins?
He recovers awfully quickly from it. He's just like, he's able to walk back to the table and pretend to be okay to his family's satisfaction. So
did that?
Yeah, probably. This is not the first time that's happened to him.
Did that instant flash into the Upside Down, did that really happen? Is that to suggest that he's getting like Elle-like powers? Is that just his trauma from puking up the weird slug?
I don't know. I think these are all questions that will probably be addressed in season 2. And that's the interesting thing, I guess, if you want to say Hopper is maybe working on the inside of this operation, the Department of Energy's operation now, he might have access, like, let's say there are 100 Demogorgons or whatever.
Yeah.
He might actually have access to some part of MK Ultra that he can harness to fight them, to defeat them. Like, if there were a whole bunch of L's, right?
Oh, right.
He could do the same thing that L did to all the Demogorgons.
Sure.
But I don't know if that exists. Hopper might, though.
What did you think about the relationship development between Mike and Elle? I thought the themes of Friends Don't Lie, with him trying to dissemble about his true feelings about her, and her kind of like, open delight at the idea that she'd be taken to a dance and him kissing her.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole, like, he's analogy. It's like, oh, you can come live with us, and everybody, like, mom will be your mom, and dad will be your dad, and my sister will be your sister, and you'll be like my brother. No.
Yeah.
I thought that was all sweet, and then the fact that it gets kind of ripped away from him, a lot of little boy feels here.
Yeah, no, I think the end of the episode, or the climax, I guess, where Elle disappears, is very effective, very affecting, I would say.
Yeah.
Certainly on me. Like, I felt for Mike in that situation.
And it's like they sell the last scenes and it's all on Christmas, which I'm a sucker for Christmas, and everything's like the families are back together and the kids are playing D&D and everyone's safe and happy and warm. But it's very hard to feel really good about it because Elle, central character that we all grew to care about, is dead or missing.
Yeah.
Or locked away in the Upside Down, or she's ascended to the spectral plane. I don't know.
And I'm glad that they let us know Mike isn't totally over that, because during the D&D game, he very much seemed like it.
Right.
But he's still thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, should we be looking for Elle to come back in season 2? My guess is yes, but I really don't know.
I want to know what kind of Candyland campaigns Mike is running, that, like, a fucking level 1 wizard spell can destroy the boss of every encounter. Like,
yeah, well, it's only a 10-hour campaign, I guess.
If fucking Will had just thrown the fireball in the get-go, none of this would have ever happened. The Demogorgon would have died. Like, the Hydralisk is all everything has. The biggest bad in Mike's campaign has about 16 hit points.
Yep.
And 0 armor class.
Yeah, I mean, I praised Mike for being the world's greatest DM at the beginning of this show.
Yeah.
Now I'm not so sure. Mike's running 10-hour campaigns with level 1 bosses.
I think he's got one crutch, which is his epic death scenes that he plays for these boss characters, and he does that, and the kids
and the surprise of the final monster, right?
Well, it makes.
Although Dustin calls it every time.
I've noticed that, like, with my son, is when he hits on something that is, like, funny or cool or exciting, like, he runs it into the fucking ground, because it's like he discovered uranium, and he wants to see how many different ways he can split that up. And so, I mean, it is kind of realistic, but it's like, guys, like, it's like, I don't know. 10 hours, too short. It's the same damn thing.
I hope that's not foreshadowing of season 2. And how it's going to play out?
I don't know.
I'm
kind of interested to see what they do, because these kids presumably are going to be a year older, and, like, are they still going to be hanging around and playing D&D, or is
they're going to be like, what, 13?
They're going to be 13, and I'd like to see, because that's more the age where, like, the friends group stops becoming the kids you hung out at neighborhoods or your homeroom, and they start to, like, form. Like, my son was like, I dropped him off at, because he had a dentist appointment bidet. He has a dentist appointment in the bidet. He has a dentist appointment, and once a week he attends the STEM classes at the high school. So I dropped him off, and he's like, man, high school is really different from elementary school. And I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, there's, like, gangs. Like, you got to decide what gang you want to roll with. And I'm like, God damn. Yeah, it's interesting that you're perceiving all this.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they'll deal with any of that, like, maybe who's the guy who's going to big time the others? Like, I think it's going to be Lucas or Mike. Lucas or Mike is going to decide that they're too cool to be with the other guy. The other guy's like, Dustin's dragging him down, or fucking Will's too weird, and I want to be cool now, and I can't be seen with you guys.
Yeah, I think it'll be weird. I think it'll be Will being weird, Because he's got the stigma, right? The weird kid who was taken. And
and he's throwing up slugs.
Yeah, he's acting weird. Like,
he was gone for like a whole fucking... Well, he wasn't gone for very long.
Where was he? There are going to be rumors around the school of where he went.
Yeah, how long was he actually gone? Like,
a few days, I think.
Yeah, because like almost enough to thirst to death.
Yeah.
To die. What do you call that when you die of...
Dehydrate?
Die of dehydration, yeah.
Yeah.
When you die of thirst. Almost enough to die of thirst, but not quite.
Yeah.
To die of exposure and thirst. But yeah, I mean, that's like and there's like clip arts of like, oh, the kid that was dead and he's back to life. Like, it's that's gonna be, I don't know, maybe this
also he's got Jonathan for a brother, so
right. Do you think that the other thing is, I guess I would like to see them explore that, because I think that's really cool, and it's a very young adult thing to explore, but maybe this season's not the right one. I've heard that this is essentially a 4-season arc.
Yeah.
So
that's what I've heard too.
I mean, it also wouldn't hurt my feelings if they all just stayed bros for life. You know, that would be kind of sweet too. But I would like to see a little bit of attention within the group.
Okay. Yeah, I could get down with that.
I probably should have saved some of this for the preview podcast.
Well, it was interesting because the stuff that was tense among the kids in this season is Elle, right? Like she's the core of she's the wedge, I guess, into the group here. She's gone. She's out of the picture. So what would bring about that tension, I guess?
I don't know. Like I said, social change, because it happens. Yeah. Like, as
what grade were they in? Do you remember? Were they about to go into high school, or were they about to?
Maybe they're in middle school.
Got another year of middle school, maybe.
I think they were 12 years old, which would mean they were in 6th grade.
Okay.
So
then they're about to go into middle school.
Well, but I mean, just because like my son, like they go middle school is 6th through 8th.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, 7th
it was
through 8th
7th
was
and
middle
8th,
school. Yeah. So, and that's about when all that starts.
Okay.
I also thought it was cool that like Lucas's wrist rocket kind of paid off.
Sort of, but not in the way I expected. I wanted him to shoot the monster killer, the rock.
Yeah.
And I never saw him shoot that rock.
Oh, see, I think we're supposed to understand that the one that he slow-moed, that was the monster killer, but this realization that wouldn't have worked without L's power.
Right, which was awesome. I thought it was his
awesome,
surprise when he hits the monster and it actually does something.
Yeah. And I thought, like,
great.
I was ready to believe that with its mouth open, there's some kind of weak point where it's soft skull that he can just, do a David versus Goliath. But then when L came through with a head of steam, that was badass. Like, L exploding their brains and blood, like that was so disturbing and disgusting, but cool. And her just going Super Saiyan at the end. I don't know why she had to fling Mike like a ragdoll.
He was annoying her.
Threw Mike like Lucas. She Lucased him. I don't understand why she had to do that, but that was really fucking cool.
No, it's awesome that this is very much like a Goonies or an E.T. or any of those other movies from the 80s that we've talked about, where the kids are the center of it and they're like the adventurers, but it has this adult twist to it, where in E.T. or the Goonies you would never see the kids murder people, right? Whereas L comes in and all of a sudden people's heads are melting.
Yeah.
That to me is like the big difference that makes this appropriate for me as a 35-year-old man. As opposed to just like another Goonies remake.
Right.
Because that would be fun and nostalgic, but it wouldn't have that weight to it that this does.
You're right. You would engage with it as a form of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Not as like, oh, I'm an adult and I'm actually enjoying this adult take on the same material.
Yeah, it's very much more real. Like, things get messy, people die, it's the real world. Like, your problems aren't solved by some miraculous solution that the kids can get away without harming anybody.
I love the scene of the kids in the hospital and Lucas and Dustin are like asleep on top of each other, just racked out.
Yeah.
I like the Lord of the Rings style, like everybody swamping Frodo on his bed in Riverdale.
Riverdale, yeah.
I like, and everybody's like excitingly. And from Will's perspective, he's been in this, like, he's had this terrifying experience, and the guys seem like they were living it up as kings.
Yeah.
They had this super-powered girl, there's melting brains, and, like, how much of that stuff do you fucking believe? And how much, I mean, it's weird. I was thinking, like, as a 12-year-old, how do you go back to D&D when you've lived this experience?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it just makes your imagination more vivid.
It's like, are there combat veterans that come back and play paintball?
Huh.
I mean,
I don't know.
maybe there are.
Probably they exist.
Maybe there are, but it's weird to role play something that you live through even more like horrifying and vivid.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, kids are resilient, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna start feeling bad for Will if season 2 comes around and he's the kid who's missing out on the adventure again. Like, he had his own adventure, but it was far more terrifying.
That's the thing, because I remember I joke last year's Baldies, we were debating giving the award to like all the kids, and I joked that like no, Will doesn't get one. Will doesn't get 5 minutes in the beginning and the finale, and the truth is he actually had a lot more involvement than I thought, but still he definitely got the short end of the camera stick, and I hope that they don't sideline him for the whole other. Actually, I hope they don't sideline any of these kids.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the short end of the camera stick, what is it? Okay, so this kid goes through this traumatic experience. He goes to the Upside Down. He comes back. He survives the Demogorgon, and suddenly he gets to open everybody's fucking Christmas presents.
I mean,
why is Jonathan letting Will open his Christmas present? This could be anything. This could be her confession of love to him, and he's going to let his little brother open it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little like, man, your imagination is lacking, Jonathan. It's like nothing about your... Yeah, I thought so too. And I was also making... Because me and Cecily watched this together. We've watched all the others in the office, but our schedule's crazy enough. We were watching it together, and I made a joke. It's like, oh, I get it. It's the box that he puts his dick in. That was before I found out that she was with Steve and all that, but she's like, like he just won't take a hint. Like she's been trying to get with him, and it's Christmas time, and she's finally like, here, step one, cut the hole in the box.
Yep.
But yeah, it turns out it says camera, and Will gets an Atari.
Yeah,
the days before
you
Nintendo,
should not
that
ask
was the
for
Cadillac.
the new Atari though. Don't ask for the new Atari. Ask for the old Atari because the new Atari sucks.
I don't know, man. I like the 7200.
Yeah,
I lusted after the.
Was it the 72 or was that the 50?
There's the 56 and then the 72. The
56 was a piece of shit.
I mean,
controllers were terrible. They broke all the time.
Okay, that might be true, but I went through a lot of Atari 2600 controllers too.
Yeah.
And then it's like what in 85, 86 the Nintendo came out.
Yeah.
Like it's insane how short the domination of Atari was.
Yeah, it's like 78 to 84 essentially.
Right, and done.
Yeah.
The only place they still live is in the Blade Runner movies. I really like the final scene of the kind of like, you know, they've already they had the kind of heartwarming stuff, and then they dipped into Hopper leaving the box with Eggos, and then they showed the, you know, Briar's Christmas and Will throwing up slugs and his terrifying encounter with the Upside Down in the bathroom. But the last scene we see is this essentially Norman Rockwell painting of, you know, middle America and Christmas time as they come out the window and you see them eating their terrible Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Joyce might be many
potatoes,
things, but
Christ.
yeah, that's like liquefied mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy.
I can tolerate lumps. Sometimes I even like lumps.
Yeah,
but they got to be thick.
Err on the side of too firm.
Yeah.
Than too runny. And also, like, did you run out of flakes? Put the fucking flakes. Just don't. You can fix this problem.
You can. Yeah.
Like, it's a ratio. If you fuck it up, you just put in more flakes. You know, like, come on, Joyce. You just didn't care. You just didn't care. Donald over at the Five and Dime has been giving you shit ever since he advanced you 2 paychecks, and it's been tough over there, but still, add a couple more. It takes you 30 seconds to add some more flakes. Come on.
Flakes are coming out of your check, Joyce. Double cost for you.
Maybe she did. She's like, she's made a 5-gallon bucket full of potatoes, and she just vacillated between too much milk, too much flakes, and she finally ran out of flakes. Like, well, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Boil the mashed potatoes until you,
I guess,
render it down?
Sure.
Yeah, solvable. You just didn't care, Joyce.
Yep.
Didn't care. You didn't care to give your recently Demogorgon child a good Christmas dinner.
Yeah,
this is why.
Look, Mom,
this is why he's got a leech inside of him.
I survived the fucking Demogorgon. I come back to these potatoes.
That's
Mom.
right. You give him some decent potatoes to stick to his ribs.
That
leech will have nothing to cling to in there.
The hospital had better mashed potatoes, Mom. The fucking hospital. Send me back there for Christmas.
God, what was the main course like? What was her fucking stove like?
Well, the dog ate half of it.
That's true. That's true. And also, that dog, like, totally, that dog would not have stopped at the slices.
No.
He would have gone for the whole fucking thing. And he would have gotten it, too.
That was a trained acting dog.
I think that's about all we've got to talk about.
I did want to say that Steve, when he shows up at Nancy's house, so this plan is excellent,
yeah.
right?
This is the other thing that bugs me. Okay,
This whole plan is excellent, I think. Steve shows up at the exact moment to save his future relationship with Nancy.
Sure.
Right before Jonathan and Nancy kiss, because I think it's all over for him.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Yeah.
And then he pulls a Joyce.
It's Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
Oh,
kisses
yeah.
her there,
yeah,
and,
absolutely.
All of a sudden,
he saw his picture disappearing, and he was like, oh, shit, I got to get in there. So he comes in, and I'm thinking, like, okay, he's going to pull a Joyce here. Or I was thinking, okay, he's running away, but then he pulls a Joyce, and he goes back into the house. And I thought that was a pretty good move by Steve.
Pretty good move by Steve. It bothered me a little bit that he was able to essentially steal the hero spotlight from Jonathan, because like Jonathan
or even from Nancy. Like,
yeah,
she was also out there with the bat and the gun. Like,
right.
He ends up
and he was
in
kind
the
of
front
badass. He out badassed them
Yeah.
both, which I didn't like. I think it was fine for him to be brave, but it should have been like on the margins of bravery, not like him going in there like Joaquin Phoenix in the end of Signs and just fucking swinging away Meryl. Like I didn't like how competent he was when he decided like he's going to be competent.
It was a little much for me, but
yeah, it stole the show from Jonathan a little bit. Now Jonathan's still he's just a creep at the camera.
Yeah, that's why he won Nancy, I guess.
He didn't though. Oh, Steve did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a shocker. When I saw her curl up with, because she gave him that present and that kiss, I'm like, okay, well, they're telling us, and also she gave him a look.
Yeah.
And like she was kind of dressing more like she wasn't dressed. She was kind of dressing the way I think Nancy likes to dress. And I felt like, okay, this is the story of she's not trying to go too fast. She's not trying to be something she's not.
Right.
This is her accepting who she is, and then she goes curls up with Steve. And maybe he's met her halfway. Like I don't know, but like and then maybe we're gonna have a love triangle in
we could.
season 2.
We might. I do think their plan was good though, and trapping the Demogorgon in the bear trap and then lighting it on fire.
Oh, when you see it,
sweet.
how they all did it like that.
Yeah.
That kind of like getting ready montage was really cool.
Making the bat with nails in
yeah,
it.
fuck yeah.
Down the
And like they relate it, and you could clearly see, okay, this is what they're trying to do, and this is how they're going to do it, and I like it.
But I don't know. I still think the fire extinguisher is a mistake. I would burn that house to the fucking foundation before I put it out. That fire.
Totally, dude. I've got that in my notes. Like, why this is not a great house.
No.
Your mom's already put a giant hole that your crazy dad just put a piece of plywood over. Burn her down.
Yes.
Burn it the fuck down.
For sure. Claim the insurance and move on with your lives.
Yeah. So, because the Demogorgon, I guess, can just... Does he have to smash through walls every time, or can he just manifest and demanifest? Because
I don't know.
It was super scary when the lights went out and it just kind of came up from the floor.
Yeah.
But, like, how the fuck did it get out of the bear trap?
We just don't know the rules.
Yeah, that's
of the Demogorgon.
A bit, we talk about this on Game of Thrones a lot. Like, the later you go in a story with the barest sketch of how the universe works, the more the authors of said universe are empowered to pull solutions out of their ass.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that Elle's solution to the Demogorgon worked? Do you think that by disintegrating it entirely, she has actually defeated it?
Yeah,
I think the show is trying to tell us that, but
right.
I don't know if I would be surprised if they brought it back next season.
No, I wouldn't either, or that there's something like maybe they've merged, because the effect they use is very reminiscent of like John Coffey from The Green Mile. Like whenever he would take on evil inside himself, it would always come out like this cloud of black ash or gnats. And like when she dissolved it in the light, but then it dissolved her in the darkness. And I'm wondering if there's going to be... Oh, and also, remember whenever she'd manifest her powers at the most strongest point, her skin would get all mottled and weird. Like, I wonder if they're suggesting that she has integrated... Like, there's been some kind of synthesis of Elle and the Demogorgon, which is exciting and terrifying.
If she's using some power that is derived from the Upside Down, and that the like purpling of her skin and stuff that we see is her being pulled into that dimension.
Just
when
like
she uses
when you
her
see
power.
our dimension from the Upside Down's perspective, it looks like it's being corrupted and it's being eaten away, and like, I do.
So maybe she disappears into the Upside Down, and next season they could find out, like Mike could get some indication that she's still alive, but she's in the Upside Down and trapped, very much like Will was. Mm-hmm. Maybe they go after her. I don't know.
And now her face opens up like a vampire from Blade, and she's like,
kiss me,
Will. He's like, I'm not ready for that. Let's just go to the snowball and see how it goes. Your freaky deaky clawed feet and hands. Like,
you're more of a sister to me at this point.
Yeah. All right. That's a great first season. If you've listened to this from the beginning, you probably already know that next week, or this coming Friday, is going to be our preview podcast for Season 3. It's going to be a simultaneous wrap-up and preview, so we're going to talk about everyone's thoughts and feelings and our own overall for Season 2, or Season 1, things that we're looking forward to for Season 2. And then the next Friday, Stranger Things drops, all hell breaks loose at Bald Move, and we are going to marathon a series over that weekend and aim to have a podcast for every episode out before the weekend's up, and then the following week we'll have a wrap-up for Season 2.
Yep.
Lots of different ways you can slice that. This is the way we've chosen to, and hope you enjoy it. I'm excited.
Me too.
It's going to be some good watching.
This is one of the most anticipated TV events of this year for me.
Yeah, I want to kind of jump into the preview podcast because the debut of Mr. Robot, Season 3 has got all the, like, I remember how disappointed I was in Season 2, and I'm like, there's a lot of reasons to be nervous because, you know, the Duffer Brothers had their entire lives essentially to come up with this.
Right. Yeah.
And now they're turning around in a year's time and they're going to hit us with the sequel. And is it going to have the same magic? Is it going to be
it's that True Detective problem, right?
True Detective had the same kind of sophomore stumble. Lots of shows do. Or it could be like Breaking Bad where the second stage ignition takes off and it gets even in higher heights. So who knows? But they got a great... Half the battle's won. They got a great cast.
A fantastic cast,
Fantastic cast for kids, and they all have the chops to do it. So, like, that's half the battle. If you can just give them the right words and put them in their mouth, then, you know, then they should be successful. But we'll see. That's some stuff we'll talk about in the preview podcast.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to our Season 1 coverage of Stranger Things. If you like what you hear and want more, check out all of our television, movie, and pop culture content on baldmove.com. If you'd like to help support our podcast and get a ton of bonus content and features, check out club.baldmove.com. We'll also be taking feedback during our upcoming Season 1 wrap-up podcast, so send that in to strangerthings@baldmove.com. You can also discuss this with your fellow fans at forums.baldmove.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm A.Ron.
And I'm Jim.
See ya.